Power BI August update is here, and this one's got some good stuff in it. Copilot can see more of your report now, semantic models and Direct Lake got some improvements, and there are a handful of reporting things a lot of you have been asking for. Real quick, before we get going, FabCon and SQLCon are heading to Barcelona. If you want to hang out with the community and talk to folks who actually build this stuff, that's where you want to be. Scan the QR code on the screen with all the details and be sure to register with the code FABCMTY200 or SQL CMTY200 to get €200 off the registration. We hope to see you there. Back to the update. You can scan that other QR code on the screen to go right to the monthly update blog for all of the details this month. You can also find it in the description below. I'm Adam Saxton. This is your Microsoft Power BI update for August 2026. Let's begin. The general availability list this month is all about the everyday stuff. We've got updates across visuals, Azure Maps, mobile, SharePoint, and commenting, kind of all the things. A bunch of these correct workarounds you've been living with for a while, like better donut charts, more control in the matrix table, to just name a few. Cleaner commenting, easier embedding, you get the idea. You may feel they are more quality of life, but they will definitely make your day a lot easier. The public preview features are where it gets fun this month. Copilot can now pick up visuals that are hidden behind a bookmark, so it sees more of what's actually in your report when it answers you. On the model side, you get more control over refresh. You can convert a Direct Lake table to import right in web modeling. Also, Direct Lake now supports calculated columns. Let me say that one again. Direct Lake now supports calculated columns. I'm looking at a few people that I know have been wanting this for a while. If you own the model, you just got a lot more flexibility. And for the devs out there, Power BI Projects now reloads files instantly and plugs right into Visual Studio Code. With a few clicks in Power BI Desktop, you can open that project directly in VS Code. We've pulled together demos on a few of these so you can see how they actually work. Enough of all this talking, we like to do it here. Let's get into the demos.
Working with your PBIP files is now easier than ever. It all starts with this new Open in VS Code button. Click it, and your PBIP project opens right away, ready to edit. Let's now make our first edit. For example, let's switch our visual type from column chart to a donut chart. The moment we click Save, Desktop prompts us to apply the change. And just like that, our changes are immediately reflected. And what about the semantic model? Let's try it out, hiding every ID column in the sales table. If we go back to Desktop and reload the external changes, you'll see that every ID column has successfully been hidden. Doesn't matter if it's you or an AI agent editing your files. Changes are now reflected instantly.
An amazing update this month of one of the most popular visuals, from empty donut to this. Now, historically, this was only possible with overlaying cards and then just taking forever trying to align things. Now, you can just select a visual, go to the format pane, one toggle, and voila! Center value shows up right in the middle. You can change the font, you can change the display units, no floating cards, no aligning visuals. That means you can resize it, move it around. It stays perfectly centered every time. You can filter it, cross-highlight it, and even if you click on matcha, the center reacts instantly. How cool is that? Now, if you want to add a label, you can turn it on and it automatically takes the measure name. You can tweak the font, you can change the position, put it above or below the text. You can make it as you wish. If you don't like the total, you can swap in any measure you like. Just drag and drop. Here's, for example, average sales instead, and we can even go ahead and change the display text. If you want to go more in a storytelling direction, you can add an image. For example, here's my coffee icon. You can import it and you can move it above or below the text. You can change the transparency and you can add alternative text. You can even drop in a background fill of the center. You can choose a color, change the transparency. You can even add a background image if that matches your theme. Just toggle on center value, go fill that donut and enjoy your coffee. You've earned it.
We've made some improvements to the Power BI Azure Map reference layer. Here I have all the United States zip codes, which is higher than a 30,000 limit, so not all states get loaded in when you're looking at the entire US. And previously, when you filtered down to a single state that wasn't parsed in originally, they still would not show data. Now we're letting that show data and get that fetch for just the filtered down section. Not only that, but it's now auto-zooming when you're filtering down to a specific section on the map. We've also made it a lot faster. So here I have the performance analyzer open in the web, and I'm showing that every time I refresh these maps, even the one that's maxing out on the 30,000, it's coming in just over a second or under a second for each of those visuals. The date picker option in Power BI Slicers is now generally available. So this gives you a whole new range of ways to filter your dates in your report. You can do a relative range, specifying the number of periods, whether they're months, days, or weeks, if they're from the last day or first day, or even today's date, including an offset. You could also just do a manual range from a single calendar. So you can come in and pick the start and end date of your range and have that apply to your visuals. But you can also specify it in just by sliding the start and end date of the slider here. And this has a lot of formatting options. So you can turn off that slider, change the color. You can turn on and off the different summaries it shows. The top one will show kind of date range that's been actually selected and kind of what you had selected in the slicer. And then you can format the styling. You can do the button that opens up the calendar and relative options. And you can also turn off that header. Now, when you turn off that header previously, you lost the ability to clear the slicers. So we've added in that header icon so you can clear the slicers even with that header off. Now, you can also additionally now have the ability to force it to be a single date. So you could have done a single date by just simply clicking on the same date twice before in a range. But if you want to force your users to only pick one date, you can do that now. You can even have relative options that will always return a single date available to them. You'll also notice that the styling now on the slider is also available with a non-responsive styling. So previously it was just a styling that was with the round kind of edges. Now, once you set up, say, a relative range, so here I have the last 10 months of data, I can go ahead and publish and then go to reading view. So now your report viewers, so the consumers of your report, have kind of a similar experience that we were just playing around with when we're editing. So they can use the slider, they can pull the slider along and move the whole range. They can go ahead and pick a different relative range that they want to work with, including all the options that you had, and also do a manual range. And when they're ready, they can just reset it and go back to kind of the way you saved it, and it will continue to roll forward as new data comes in. We've made some more improvements to the slicer formatting in this release. So previously we added a way to change the selection icon color. And many of you pointed out that it would be helpful to also have the same capabilities for the hierarchy icon as well. So we brought that in. So now you can have not only the selection icon, but also the kind of expand and collapse when you have a hierarchy in the slicer. And we took it one step further. So the box around the dropdown, when you're in an expanded or collapsed state, we made it so you can change that color so it could be a bit more visible, but we also brought in kind of rounded corners. And you can also change the color of that icon there that will kind of expand and collapse the drop-down mode and bring in also transparency. And in addition, we're adding in an accent bar. So we have this on the input slicer. We're bringing this in also for the regular slicer, so you can have some controls on the color and width of that. So now you can style this one to really meet the needs of what you're looking for in your report, making sure you get it styled the way you like and have that kind of consistent look and feel across your report. We also brought in the clear selections as a header icon. So if you turn off your slicer header, you won't lose the ability to clear the selections anymore. You'll still have that right there in the header icon, just like the other slicers in a Power BI report. We heard your feedback, and now we have introduced the plus and minus icons for the matrix column headers. Previously, this was only available in the matrix row headers, and even if you had a hierarchy on your column headers, you couldn't have these kind of plus minus icons to do them individually. You could only use the header icons. So with this update, we have added it in for the column headers, and you have the same formatting capability you do for the row headers. So you can come in, turn them on, turn them off, or change the color and sizing to match kind of look and feel you're going for with your report. And you have the exact same kind of functionality that we have for the row headers. So you can expand and collapse individually or even using the context menu. So if I want to come, I can right click on this and use that expand all to expand them all. I can also collapse each one individually, and I can also still use the header icon to kind of expand and collapse either the rows or the columns in my matrix visual. We have another exciting update that's now generally available for the matrix this month, and that is the ability to freeze and unfreeze the row header. So by default, the row header is frozen. So as you scroll to the right, the columns will go behind the row header, and you'll always be able to see it. We're adding in the ability in the layout section to now simply turn that off. So now it's unfrozen and will scroll with the other columns as you scroll to the right. This gives you some flexibility on kind of exactly the way you want your matrix to be used, not only in desktop view, but also in mobile view. In mobile view, you have the ability to kind of override any of the formatting pane options for any visual. And so with this option now in the formatting pane, I can set this to be different than what I have in the desktop view. So now in mobile, I have set my row headers to be unfrozen. So when I scroll, they just scroll with the scroll bar while maintaining the frozen state for my desktop view, which has a little bit more space to accommodate this behavior. Starting this month, you can now utilize OneLake file URLs in your Power BI reports. Here I've uploaded the Power BI logo image to my lakehouse, and I can simply copy that URL that points to where it lives in the OneLake. And when I add it to my report, Power BI is going to handle the authentication for me. Here I've pasted that URL into a measure in my semantic model. When I do that, if I have it as a column or a measure, just make sure you have that data category moved to image URL so that the visuals know how to display this properly. Now you can see I have added it in a bunch of places in my report, and it's all authenticated for me and displaying the image just fine. In the button slicer, I've added in, just pasted the URL in. I could also use conditional formatting. So if I use conditional formatting, I can do field value, and I can just simply point to that measure that I created a minute ago in my semantic model and have this image show in my visuals. I can also do the same thing for matrix. Matrix and table both support just dragging it in as a value and have it display in the matrix. And also in the cell elements, you can set the conditional formatting for an icon to be kind of one of these URLs as well. In the card, we also have the ability to have an image. This image can come from these OneLake file URLs. Here I have it as conditional formatting. So again, when I did the conditional formatting, go to that field value, and I'm just referencing that measure that I created earlier. And finally, of course, just a simple image will also work. Just paste in that URL. So now I have these in and I can display these. I don't have the public available images anymore. I can now use these secure images that are then authenticated and given permission to the correct users to show in my report. Now, sometimes in a column chart, I'm going to want to, instead of using the x-axis, I want to use the legend. But then I find that all my bars are now squished in the middle, and no matter what I do with the visual, I cannot get them to take up the kind of the full space of the visual. So this month, we're adding in a control to do just that. So in the layout section of columns, you'll find this outer padding control, and I can move that all the way to 0 and take away that outer padding. And if you combine this with space between categories, now you have your bars take up the entire plot area of your visual, and now I can kind of move my visual around and size it so that I can fit it in kind of any tight space that I want. This is not only available for column charts, it's also available for bar and columns in all the configurations that they come in. And also it's helpful in kind of a line chart. So in a line chart, here I have my categories and I have a legend. But with categories, eventually you run out of space and you have a scroll bar. When you move the outer padding to be less, you're actually going to give it a little bit more space and fit a little bit more categories in before that scroll bar starts to appear on your line chart. It includes area charts as well here in stacked area. And also this is available for kind of a ribbon chart and your waterfall as well. Modern visual defaults and customizing theme improvements is now generally available for Power BI reports. So this means it's available for you not only in Power BI desktop, but also now in the web when you're editing a report. This includes the new cleanup of the built-in custom themes that we had in Power BI. We moved a lot of them with just color into colored palettes instead. Now in the web, you also have access to the new theme pane, which will let you go ahead and change your base theme, import, export, and remove a custom theme right in the web. And also, now you have access to those color palettes that I was just talking about. So these were previously built-in themes in Power BI, but they just did colors. So we're just allowing you to do that, and that way you can change the color while keeping any other customizations you may have made to the visual defaults. You can always pick your own data colors, structural colors, sentiment, and divergent colors that are kind of useful across your report and also referenceable via DAX measures. Also, to make your styling a lot easier, we built a new visual default with the style presets. So now you have these predefined style presets that can be overridden in a custom theme. They will give you quick access to, like for the bar and column charts, allow you to kind of add a data label instead of using an access in kind of a one click instead of multiple clicks that you would have had to do in the format pane. For lines, we also added in some additional ones. So if you wanted to go back to straight lines, you have that option here, and you can do straight lines with those data labels as well. These will work across when they have a small multiple, and also for your area and kind of stacked area charts, your combo charts, even ribbon and waterfall. And you can see as we go through all the different types of charts, in Power BI, we have a kind of similar look and feel to all of the visuals with uniform kind of padding and styling on the title, bringing in the subtitle for each one of them, and making sure they kind of work cohesively and conform to the Fluent 2 design system, which is what the new defaults are based off of. This also includes all of our filtering options. And as we continue through all of the even stuff, we've made some additional styling for, say, images and buttons. And also they work really well with the new conditional formatting we just added for lines and legends just last month. Now, if you do end up with a case where maybe this divergent colors are not really working, you can now utilize that theme pane to kind of make a change here. And because that's the default colors of conditional formatting, no matter where it's used, in the existing report, if it wasn't overridden and new visuals, it's going to go ahead and use that new color in just one change. You can also come and customize all your fonts across titles and callouts. And we also added in some more visual properties that can be styled holistically from one place and across all visuals in your report. This also includes, if I wanted to make, say, my header icons on visuals stand out a little bit, I can do that in the theme pane. Another one we added was padding. So if you wanted to kind of change the padding on your visuals, you can do so. Another one is the page, default page size you can specify, and you can fully format the format pane across your report pages and the filter cards as well.
Love seeing all the demos. Really great stuff this month. If you have questions on anything that's covered, drop them in the comments below. For the full list of updates, the docs, and all the feature details, scan the QR code on your screen or check out the monthly update blog link down in the description below. And if you're not part of the Power BI and Fabric community yet, you should be. Come over and join us. Connect with other folks, get questions answered, and see what's happening. As always, thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you in the next video.